I took a 7-night cruise on the Carnival Mardi Gras, and since I booked this sold-out sailing just 3 days before it left, I ended up sleeping right underneath the Lido Deck pool, which proved to be interesting. So what's the flagship experience like on Carnival in 2025? You're about to find out. Carnival Mardi Gras is the namesake ship in the Excel class, operated by Carnival Cruise Line. First introduced in July of 2021, the Mardi Gras has a passenger capacity of 6,500 people and is considered to be one of Carnival's flagship vessels, offering week-long cruises from Port Canaveral. And my itinerary was a 7-night cruise in the Eastern Caribbean. Let's start at the beginning. I arrived to the cruise port and used the parking service called GoPort. They offer really good pricing for parking and coach service over to Terminal 3. I really enjoyed this service, and it turned out to be some of the best pricing for cruise parking I could find. Upon arriving to Terminal 3, there's a lot of walking ahead of you as you make your way up into the check-in area. I ended up walking up this 4-level ramp before making my way into the terminal. Check-in here is a quick process, and mine was probably made a lot faster by the fact that I arrived at 1:30 in the afternoon, which means I was already heading down the gangway. Stepping on board the Mardi Gras, you are greeted by the light champagne golds and ocean blue tones of Carnival's new design language for the Excel class ships. You enter through Deck 6, Midships of course, which is the lowest level of the center stage area. We're going to explore the ship a little bit more in depth later in the video, but as it's already 1:45, it's time to get to the cabin and drop off my luggage and work on finding some Embarkation Day lunch, which actually ended up taking me a little while. You see, one of the largest complaints that you'll hear about the Mardi Gras is that the elevators are very slow or just never show up at all. And I can confirm that the elevators on here are probably going to be one of the bigger pain points you experience throughout this cruise. Eventually though, I did make it up to Deck 15 and found my way to cabin 15341, a last-minute interior room directly under the Lido Deck pool. Stepping inside my cabin, I'm greeted with the current design aesthetic for Carnival Cruise Line. In here, you'll find a comfortable king-size bed with a nice uplit ocean-style mural above. Beside the bed, there's convenient pull-out reading lamps, USB plugs for both people sleeping in here, and there's tons of room underneath the bed for storage. I was able to fit my massive suitcase under here with no problem. At the foot of the bed, there's a large TV that offers about 10 channels, plus you can actually watch some of the cameras around the ship, which inspired a little idea for me. Why not give you guys a little bit of a wave from the pool deck? The cabin also features a small desk with 3 American-style outlets and 4 additional USB plugs. The Mardi Gras offers some of the best outlet solutions I found on any cruise ship out there. Especially for an interior cabin, you're not going to have a problem finding a place to plug in. Stepping into the bathroom, this is where things start to feel very cramped. Although the shower was pleasantly oversized with almost room for 2, it features Carnival's basic shampoo and body wash, and it's not bad in here. There's a nice amount of shelving to go around above and below the sink, so I think if you have 2 or even 3 people in here, you'd have no problems finding a little bit of room to store your things. Though, there were a few things about this cabin that I didn't love. First off, the Mardi Gras is nearly 5 years old now, and the age of the ship is starting to show. A lot of the outlets and switches in my cabin were in need of a deep cleaning and repair. From some caked on debris around the light switch to power outlets that required me to be a little bit more Bob the Builder to figure out a way to keep the plugs to stay in, I think this ship needs a little bit of a going over. And it's my understanding that Carnival is going to send it into dry dock later this year. Now, what about the whole sleeping under the pool thing? Yeah, I could hear some noise up there, the bumping of the music and the chairs scraping at times, but I was able to solve this by just using a $10 white noise machine I recommended on my Amazon store. This ended up blocking out all of the sound coming from above. It was at this point in the day that I ended up spending the next 20 minutes unpacking before I laid down for my Embarkation Day nap. After waking up, I was feeling a little bit like Winnie the Pooh, hungry in the tummy, so it was off to one of my favorite venues on board, Shaq's Big Chicken. I ended up eating here about 5 times throughout this cruise, as I think this is as good or better than Chick-fil-A. Shaq's Big Chicken was always a favorite here, the lines always moved quickly, and that breakfast chicken and biscuit dipped in spicy honey sauce just seemed to hit the spot for me every time. Give this a try when you're here on the Mardi Gras. And with newfound chicken-fueled energy, it was time to take on the classic Carnival sail-away party. Or in other words, it was time to see what kind of nightmare I'd be living underneath for the next 7 nights. You know, the Carnival Cruise Line is renowned for their sail-away parties, and this one on Mardi Gras, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. This is not my first time sailing on this ship, but this particular sail-away party was not all that memorable, if I'm being honest. Sure, a lot of people showed up, but it just didn't feel like the hype that I would have expected from a fully sold-out ship with 6,500 people on board. Against the backdrop of the late afternoon sun in Port Canaveral, we waited for 2 cruise ships to slip beside us, Carnival Vista and the Royal Caribbean Voyager of the Seas, before it was time to push off from Terminal 3 and head out into the open ocean. Sail away was beautiful just as we passed by Jetty Park and Cocoa Beach in the afternoon sun. I decided to take this opportunity to get my first of possibly 20 frozen yogurts on this cruise. Y'all, I developed a borderline addiction to froyo during my time on the Mardi Gras. Now, one of the most important things on any cruise is the food on offer. And Mardi Gras has so many things that you might struggle to try them all. But I'm gonna give you a few highlights and one secret tip that you might wanna know. Let's start with the most popular venue on board, the ship's buffet. This one I have mixed opinions about. For some reason, the food offerings were pretty limited in here compared to the size of the venue. I ended up eating in the Lido buffet about 4 or 5 times throughout this cruise for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I can say the food was always cooked nicely, and I never ran into a situation where there were empty food containers anywhere. Also, you'll find some extras like gelato, as well as a late night buffet. Every night here, Carnival rolls out this strange sheet pan pizza and calls it a late night buffet.
And it's not good.
But for a ship of this size, I would have expected there to be at least 4 times the amount of variety of dishes on offer. And this is something that Carnival could definitely improve on. There's also a couple other fast casual options on or near the Lido buffet, these being of course Blue Iguana, Street Eats, and the famous Guy's Burger Joint, all of which were solid on the Mardi Gras, with the highlight for me being Guy's Burger. What can I say? There's just something about a griddled burger with a buttered bun that's got my name written all over it. Let's talk about some of the more interesting included dining options that you need to try, as well as one that I think you should avoid at all costs. My favorite option, it's Chibang. I actually call this place Chibangers for some reason. This is a heavily themed Mexican-Asian crossover restaurant. A must-try in here are the lettuce wraps. That's exactly what I did. This is one of my favorite dishes on the Mardi Gras. In addition, I ate the fresh mandarin salad before moving on to my main course, broccoli beef and steamed rice, and I ended up with a nice creme brulee flan custard dessert. Yeah, I pretty much went full Asian my night in Chibang with the intent of coming back for Mexican. However, the main dining room would actually change those plans for me. Let's talk about it. You see, since this is a 7-night cruise, Carnival is gonna offer you a lobster night on one of the elegant nights on board. And as I was checking in to get ready for Chibang for Mexican night, I happened to notice the main dining room was running a 140-minute long wait for dinner. And it got me wondering, just what was so good that people were willing to wait 2+ hours to eat in a cruise ship's main dining room? So being the glutton for punishment that I am, I checked in to dine at the Palm Restaurant. Luckily for me, the wait ended up taking closer to half an hour, and I was on my way in for fancy night dinner. This restaurant spans 2 decks, and you may also see it on your reservation as the Flamingo Restaurant. It's the same food, same menu, just one of these is your time dining, the other is scheduled dining. In this restaurant, I was sat at table 729, and the level of service in here was quite good, especially considering the whole ship was sitting around me having dinner at the exact same time. I ordered the poblano corn chowder, which is something I recommend everybody tries. It's not too spicy, but has a little zest. Moving on to the main course is, that's right, I'm double dipping tonight. It's lobster night, so of course we'll have some rocktail. In addition, I went for the crusted salmon, which was cooked nicely, a little overdone, but that's to be expected on a cruise ship. I ended up finishing dinner with this really weird jiggly dessert. I forget the name of it, but it has a very distinctive jiggle, and it actually tasted pretty good. Speaking of things that taste pretty good, another restaurant here that you should really try on your time on board is Guy's Pig and Anchor Smokehouse. This is one of those venues that Carnival could definitely upcharge for, but is opted to include with your base cruise fare. It's a fun little spot in the back of the ship, and the experience overall is pretty unique. You get these printed paper menus where you can choose your meats, your side dishes. I also tried one of the beers that they brew on board the ship in here. This is an amber lager, and I really liked it. A lot of flavor without those overpowering hop tastes that you sometimes get in beer. My food came out quickly, and I had some of the best service in any restaurant in this venue. And of course, since I'm a child, I ended up ordering mac and cheese, some coleslaw, and a side of fries, before finishing up with a side of banana cream pie. This is a must-try venue on the Mardi Gras, and it's actually also open for breakfast. They serve a little secret breakfast buffet here, and I promised earlier I'd share a little secret with you about food on the Mardi Gras. In the mornings and at lunchtime, there is a little coffee machine tucked back here, and you can brew your own espressos, absolutely free, without the drink package. This is the only place on the ship that you'll get this, and not a lot of people know about it. I told you there's a lot of food to cover on this sailing, and unfortunately, the next venue we're going to talk about is one that I wish I had skipped. Welcome, friends, to Cucina del Capitano. This is Carnival's Italian venue on board, and unfortunately, after going to Cucina del Capitano 5 to 10 times now, I just don't like this venue. Unfortunately, on this trip, service was extremely slow for me. I didn't really like the food, and I actually ended up quietly slipping away after a very forgettable meal of arancini rice balls, nutty pasta, and some lemon dessert that I didn't even order. There's one more source of disappointment that we need to address about this cruise, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, because now it's time to talk about some of the unique and fun destinations that this ship took me to. First up, my favorite stop on the cruise, Turks and Caicos. We made port in Grand Turk in the mid-morning hours, and what a beautiful day it was outside. And I can't wait to get out and walk around this really fun port that includes a free beach and free pool area. For those of you looking to save a few bucks, Grand Turk is an awesome destination to have on your itinerary to do just that. And it looks like I made my way off the ship just in time. As you can see, the Enchanted Princess was pulling in as I was walking off, which means they were actively trying to close down the pier for anybody that was on there. Here we are in Grand Turk. It's been a while since I've been to this port. Mardi Gras behind me, and just over my shoulder is a princess ship, which is actually quite ironic because, well, my next cruise is maybe on that ship. We're gonna do a little beach walking here in Grand Turk today. I'm excited because I'm gonna be looking for something very interesting here on the beach. Let's get going. Hey Midships family, Captain Corey here, and I'd like to invite you to become part of the crew. That's right, become a channel member today, and you're gonna get instant access to all kinds of behind the scenes things, a sneak peek at what goes on these cruises while I travel. We have monthly live streams, and you can get exclusive content with me. We'll see you on the other side. It's time to begin exploring here in Grand Turk, starting with this beautiful beach right here that's against the cruise ships. This is gonna be a great place to chill, relax, get those photos with your ship, and in my case, do a little bit of beach walking, or actually beach combing. You see, 2 days before my trip into Grand Turk, the skies above this beach looked like this. That's a prototype rocket ship breaking up over the beaches of Turks and Caicos, and I wanted to do my part as a supporter of the space program to make sure that it's not leaving debris all over our beautiful planet. So I decided to walk the beach here in Grand Turk and see if any of this debris had washed up, that I could pick it up and throw it out so it's not affecting the local ecosystem. Now, luckily, we didn't find any of that here on the beach in Grand Turk, so hopefully that's the case all over, but it's a win and a lose because it would be pretty cool to find something from a rocket ship on a beach, right? Now, with beach cleanup behind me and the sun getting lower in the sky, it's time to get back on board the Mardi Gras and head to our next port destination. That being Amber Cove in the Dominican Republic. Known for its rich amber deposits, Amber Cove is a very popular cruise port with Carnival Cruise passengers. And just like we found yesterday in Grand Turk, today in Amber Cove, we're able to take advantage of this beautiful free pool area with swim-up bars, a play place for the kids, and tons of extra add-on amenities if that's what you want to do in your time in Amber Amber Cove. Personally, I wanted to get a little bit of exercise here, so I took this pretty little hike up to the satellite bar. It's not that long of a walk getting up here, but this is pretty steep, and if you're not in great shape or you have mobility issues, this is not the hike for you. However, you can still visit the satellite bar via an inclined ramp that's over to your right by the pool. I spent a little bit of time here in Amber Cove relaxing in the pool, getting a little bit of sun before walking around and exploring the port a little bit more. Snapped that memorable selfie with the cruise ship. Another fun thing to do here is ride the free rickshaws that take you directly from your cruise ship all the way to the entrance of the cruise port. You don't have to pay anything for these, but gratuities are expected, so bring like $5 with you if you want to try the rickshaws. Now, the last and most well-known cruise port on this itinerary is, of course, Nassau Bahamas. If you're looking for something fun to do here in Nassau, I recommend taking the water taxi over to Paradise Island and visiting Cabbage Beach. It's a fun little free beach experience. The water taxi is $14 a person round trip. Bring cash with you. Over at the beach, you can watch people getting rocked by the waves all day, and it's really nice sand, great sun, a fun time. So, Grand Turk, Amber Cove, and Nassau Bahamas. Some amazing cruise port stops all along the way here on the Mardi Gras. The best part is, if you're just looking to enjoy your time in the Caribbean sun, in beautiful surroundings, dip your toe in some crystal clear pools, or walk through pillowy white sand, there is something that everyone will be able to enjoy at any of these cruise ports. Stepping back onto Mardi Gras, it's time to look at some of the onboard experiences that you can have on this cruise, particularly the entertainment venues. The most noticeable one will, of course, be Center Stage. It's a 3-story venue, Midships, spanning decks 6, 7, and 8. And almost every night, there is a different performance in here. These are fun, memorable shows, but the seating is sort of tricky, so if you really want to see the shows, you gotta get there about 45 minutes early and try to snag yourself a close-up seat on deck 6. In addition to this venue, there's also the main theater. In here, you can take in production shows, as well as some of the fun game shows that Carnival runs throughout this cruise. I typically will take these shows in, but I was pretty busy on this sailing and didn't really get a chance to see much in this theater. Now, there's no denying that the Carnival Mardi Gras is one of the most unique and pleasant to be on cruise ships that I've sailed. From the high ceilings to premium decor all around, this is a high-end Carnival cruise experience. But along with that comes a higher-end price than you would pay for other, older, smaller Carnival cruises. And that premium is typically somewhere around 25 to 30% in my experience. And that seems reasonable considering all of the extras you're getting on an Excel class ship. But along with that premium price should come a premium condition cruise ship. And unfortunately, in that department, the Mardi Gras seems to be falling a little bit short. Like the aforementioned deferred maintenance going on in my cabin with the plugs and switches, I ended up finding deferred maintenance pretty much everywhere I looked. Whether it be the pool deck looking to have been shoddily repaired several times, to peeling carpet all over the place and stains everywhere, the Mardi Gras is looking like a well-used cruise ship at this point. But if you're watching this review anytime after October 2025, Mardi Gras will have been taken out of service for a month and completely refurbished, so this shouldn't be a concern for you at that point. Now, this wasn't enough to ruin my cruise, but as a person who reviews cruises for a living, I noticed this pretty quickly, as it's something that you typically don't see, even on older cruise ships. As a matter of fact, I cruised on a 20-year-old ship from Carnival just a few months ago, the Paradise, and it seemed to be in better condition overall than the nearly new Mardi Gras. So to my friends at Carnival Cruise Line, you have a beautiful ship with lovely crew members, exciting entertainment, memorable port stops, and endlessly delicious food. I just think y'all should put a little bit more time and effort into taking care of this beautiful ship. And if you're watching this review wondering, should you book a cruise on the Mardi Gras? Well, I've cruised on this ship twice now, and that should be enough to tell you that it's a thumbs up from me to party on the Mardi.